Is Vital Wheat gluten a keto-friendly ingredient?
Okay, so first of all, what is Vital Wheat gluten? So Vital Wheat gluten is simply the gluten product in wheat that is left over after a series of, let's just call it like processing or washing. And so gluten is what gives baked goods like bread its structure, right? If you get gluten wet, it becomes very sticky and stretchy, and that's what kind of gives these breads and pastries and things like that their structure. Mm-hmm. It's also what gives a lot of people problems. Everything from full-blown celiac disease to people who are gluten sensitive, and I would say that there's a huge spectrum of gluten sensitivity.
Yes.
And so Vital Wheat gluten is, a product that you can buy at your grocery store, some places, to add to products, maybe add to a keto bread that might give it a more traditional bread-like rise and texture. Yeah. So we're seeing this come out in a lot of products lately, and especially breads and pizza doughs. And so is Vital Wheat gluten keto friendly? Okay, this is my opinion, but no. So there's a reason that I will never, eat a ton of gluten. And it's not because I'm gluten sensitive or even because I think it's necessarily that gluten is all that bad for me personally. But it's that there's other proteins that come along for the ride, like wheat germ gluten, that are extremely dangerous, in my opinion, and have insulin mimetic type properties. What does insulin mimetic mean? Yes, it means that WGA, or wheat germ gluten, acts like insulin and is able to bind to the insulin receptors and shuttle in glucose. So you have this pro-inflammatory protein that can come along for the ride with gluten, which itself is pro-inflammatory, and it kind of just gets in the way, right? It's doing things like insulin does, and it has a host of other things that it's known to do. So I don't like Vital Wheat gluten because of the fact that there's other proteins coming along for the ride. So something you need to know about modern day wheat is that modern day wheat has 42 chromosomes, and ancient grains had somewhere around 14 chromosomes.
Something like einkorn.
Right. So these modern wheats can express, upwards of 20 to 23,000 different types of proteins when they're grown. So we just don't really know with that number of proteins what's getting into our system. We do know a few, like gluten being the predominant one, and like WGA, which can act like insulin. So I'm going to say that no, Vital Wheat gluten is not keto friendly. Now I'm going to take that term and spin it a little bit. I would say Vital Wheat gluten is keto neutral. It's not keto enemy. It's not keto friendly. It's more keto neutral. If it works for you and you use it to cook, and it helps you stick with this lifestyle, then maybe for you it is keto friendly. But for me, I'm going to say it's keto neutral.
And I'm going to chime in. And so based on what Jeremy said and a lot of the information I've read, if you think, so I started the ketogenic diet because I wanted to reduce inflammation in my body.
Right.
And the reduction of inflammation is actually what gives you the things like mental clarity, feeling like looser and better, freer in your joints. That's the reduction in inflammation. Well, when I was out at Keto Summit Omaha, I had a few pieces of pizza that I didn't know had Vital Wheat gluten in it. And so did my mom. Jeremy wasn't out there with us. Well, the next morning we woke up and we were both like, why are we so puffy? We could feel inflammation, a large amount of inflammation. Our faces were puffy, our eyes were puffy, our rings were tighter, that had happened overnight. And so we went and we checked out the ingredients, and that's when we discovered the Vital Wheat gluten. So for me, knowing the inflammatory response that my body had to that Vital Wheat gluten, that makes me say no to that ingredient.
Right.
And I don't. And the thing is that I hadn't had gluten in 4 or 5 months, right? So you have to give your body, you can't just go from eating gluten to eating Vital Wheat gluten and say, oh, I don't react to it. You have to give your body 3 to 6 months time to detox from it. So an elimination diet, and then reintroduce the food. And it really does take 3 to 6 months at minimum for your body to detox all the gluten out of your system. If you're celiac, or if you've known someone with celiac, sometimes it can take them years to get the inflammation under control.
Especially as ketonians, ketogenic people, right? We're burning through our fat stores, which are a great place for your body to store toxins, right? So as you're dieting, as you're burning through these fat stores that you really haven't touched in a long time, you're going to be dumping some fairly potent stuff back into your system. Now, you're doing a good thing because your body's going to clear it, but just be aware that, if you have a severe gluten sensitivity or even celiac, that could be an issue. Like, you need to stay away from it.
Yeah. So hopefully that helps you understand and formulate your own opinion on how to handle Vital Wheat gluten in your diet. And do look for it. It's showing up like all these bread, almost every bread that I look at a grocery store that says keto bread on it has it in it. So just be aware of it and make an informed choice about whether or not you want that to be part of your ketogenic diet.